Let's talk knife defense, but first, for me to effectively pass along this information, let's set some parameters. We won't talk about an active attack. Instead, we will focus on dealing with an overt knife threat where the blade is already presented, and two, a covert knife threat where there is a higher likelihood a knife will eventually be presented. Priority one is not to be there. Disengage, leave, run if you have to. Where possible, maneuver to a position where there is a barrier or obstruction between you and the threat. When disengagement isn't an option, our next priority is distance management. We don't want to be anywhere near the effective range of that knife, which is just beyond arm's reach, accounting for strike extensions like lunging and, of course, blade length. If hands are in pockets, we can't always do the cop thing and demand, show me your hand, show me your hand. So we employ an active monitoring process as we look out for pre-attack indicators. Some common pre-attack indicators include blading away, looking around, or indexing the concealed weapon. For this video, we're going to cover a specific element, and that is the initial interception. We're not going to cover anything beyond that because the variables are infinite. We'll keep the focus narrow to survive that initial attack. Now, while we cannot predict what attack we will face, we need to understand common strike trajectories and build our skills to intercept them. It's important to take note that a good majority of knife attacks happen from indexed positions, aka the grab and stab. These initial defenses could work well from being grabbed in the first place, so let's take a look at some options. First, positioning or proximity management. There are angles we can place ourselves in that make it slightly more difficult for that blade to reach us, and we can even determine the trajectory of the initial and follow-up strikes. Under the reasonable assumption based on statistics, the weapon-bearing limb will likely be from their right side. So, if we are on the outside of that limb, we are likely to encounter some kind of a backhand strike. If we are on the inside line, we are looking at forehand thrusts and slashes as the initial attacks. Remember that the focus here is initial defenses, and for that, we prioritize parrying and gross motor interceptions. We are talking about high blocks, high covers, and some form of bisecting line. Now look, there are no such thing as the perfect defense. For each of these options, we assume a calculated risk and we must accept some vulnerability. That's just the reality of things. A high block, for example, leaves our low lines open, and vice versa. A left side dominant defense leaves our right side more exposed, and vice versa. This is why our positioning relative to the threat is important, because we can manipulate the odds slightly in our favor. Parrying requires us to be incredibly precise, but to some degree, parrying is also a natural defense that we can hone to be more reliable and more accurate. Parrying can simply be defined as swatting an incoming threat away from hitting its intended target. In this drill, using safe training tools, one person will randomly present attacks from the common trajectories we discussed, and the defender will work on parrying them. As reaction times and accuracy improves, we can layer elements to this drill to include footwork and mobility. Now, even though we've been very specific about the scope of this tutorial, we've just barely scratched the surface.
So some of you will have doubts, questions, concerns. Some of you may think, hey, try that against a live resisting opponent. For those people, please visit my Instagram account. You can see my pressure testing there. For those of you who want to learn more about knife work in general, please visit trainwithgn.com. Guys, we've barely just scratched the surface. I really wanted to present this material to folks just beginning their journey into knife defense. This is a lifelong journey. There's lots involved. If there is one piece of advice that I can give you, even though I have tutorial videos, is that there is no replacement for in-person training with a qualified instructor. So seek one in your area. Thank you guys very much for watching. Again, if you want to learn more about knife work in general, check out trainwithgn.com, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I look forward to hearing from you in the comments below. Peace.